Bonjour, mon nom est Erika Delvecchio, je suis chef de projet à la galerie Pierre-François Ouellette à Montréal et aujourd'hui j'ai le plaisir de discuter avec Stéphane Alexis qui présente sa première exposition solo à Montréal ici, Chains and Crowns. Donc le reste de l'entrevue va se passer en anglais. Hi everyone, my name is Erika Delvecchio. I'm project manager here at Pierre-François Ouellette Art Contemporain in Montreal and today I have the pleasure to sit with Stéphane Alexis who's presenting his first solo exhibition in Montreal called Chains and Crowns. Hi, Stephane.
Hello, Erica.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you for sitting down with me.
It's my pleasure.
So, your work celebrates the heritage of African Caribbean community through their hair. And to quote you, you said that hairstyle is part of what makes them who they are, and when there is misinterpretation, it takes away from their identity. So you conducted a great deal of research, drawing both from your own experience and external sources to guide you through this project. You said that information you were looking for was not even available. So to me, it shows how much your work was important. And I would like to start by learning about your first experience with your hair, maybe your first memory of hair.
Ooh, interesting. So the first memory I would say that I can think of that I had with hair was when I was in 6th grade and I had a little afro. I was a little short kid and I had this little big afro and I had my pick in it and I would walk around the class and the hallways and pick out my hair and I was I thought I was fresh, but that was one of like the most concrete moments that I can remember actually taking care of my hair. For the most part, when I was younger, prior to that time, it was my parents. My mom was combing my hair. They were bringing me to the barbershop, and this was my first opportunity to really take my hair into my own hands and keep it and make sure it was healthy and all that stuff. So I can see that being like a pinnacle moment.
And was that fun? Or was like a thing you had to do with your mom? She was taking you, or was like you already saw that there was like creativity in this?
It was both. I would say it was both. Yes, of course. Like my mom was like, you need to start taking care of your hair, but also I wanted to be able to do something more creative with my hair. And when it was shorter, there isn't a lot of versatility there, so I decided to grow it out. And it was like, okay, if you're gonna grow it out, then it's your responsibility to take care of it. So yeah, that was huge, and it gave me the opportunity to really appreciate it. And it was kind of rough, to be honest with you, because my hair and like most like very kinky hairstyles knot up very quickly. So I found myself like, the pick was like a cool thing, quote unquote, but it was a necessity because my hair would kind of knot up kind of as I was moving along through the day. So it was tedious. I felt like I was pulling out my scalp at times, which it's always fun, especially when you're 12 years old. But yeah, I found it as an opportunity to really be independent with my upkeep.
That's very interesting of it being a way of independency. And the title of the show is Chains and Crowns. So how does that first experience with hair relate to maybe your relationship with your hair now?
Chains and crowns, I would say, chains is almost like bondage in a way, right? So we're bound to our hair. This is something that isn't, unless we decide to cut it all off, which a lot of people do, we're bound to it and we're bound to the process of dealing with our hair. So that's kind of like from a personal aspect, which is, it can be a challenge at times, especially trying to manipulate it on an ongoing basis. And you go through these processes of, I love my hair and it makes me feel good about myself. And also I don't want to have to wake up and spend, half an hour. More so the women have to spend half an hour to an hour preparing it in the morning. So that's kind of like the chains aspect of it, but the crown also alludes to what I was speaking about before, which was, something that we love and something that we use to build our creativity and really showcase who we are as an individual. So, I mean, we can see that represented throughout history with the Mizea tribes, where this is like something bold and colorful that they use to embody their culture, and also like in a practical sense. But the chains as well, like that's something that was used especially during the migration of the slaves. That was used as a manipulation tactic to get rid of the hair and almost eliminate the heritage through that. So it works on like a personal level and a historical level and socio-historical level as well.
There's a big duality into this relationship, and do you think there's a form of freedom now in being able to express yourself with your hair, taking that it's been so impactful historically and culturally?
Yeah, I would say that there is more freedom, definitely more freedom, but there's still places where you have to kind of conform to the rules of society. There are times where you go into a government job and you can't necessarily have this big, crazy, dread style. You have to remain professional. But I think we kind of see that around the board. But yeah, I believe that there is a freedom. I believe that pop culture and seeing all these different hairstyles that are worn in the grand public gives us the opportunity or like the freedom to really do that as well. I think of Allen Iverson, who did all sorts of cornrows. He was crazy with it. He dyed it, and it was rainbow colored for a while. In every game, it was like a different style, different color. So I think seeing those things, and especially like within the culture of here in Canada and the States as well, and also places in Africa, I think we're getting back to that place actually, because there is a lot of freedom. If you look at like Nigerian hair, there's always been a lot of freedom because that's the culture. They're used to this bold style. But now that we're becoming aware of the heritage and how that really like builds a person up and how relevant that is to the individual and their sense of individuality, that gives us a little more freedom to really express ourselves in that way.
Right. And there is so much knowledge and savoir-faire that goes into creating those hairstyles, and this is passed down from one generation to the next. And the ritual of hair is a genderless ritual, and I feel it is even more so in the African Caribbean community. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we spoke about the Mizea tribe.
Yeah.
Hairstyling was very prominent in both circles. It was a communal thing where all the women in the tribes would have their daughters or their nieces or whatever all sit together, and their aunts, like 10 of them, sit in a circle and do each other's hair for hours on hours. Yeah. And you saw that with the men as well. I mean, they spent time styling their hair and getting to know each other and having good conversations. Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that sentiment.
And it's also an ageless, ritual. And so you photograph all of these people. Like, do you know how many people maybe you photographed?
I would say it's total participants. It was probably close to around 80-ish. So it was a lot of people.
What were you guys talking about during those sessions?
We were talking about everything. We had music in the studio, so we were like dancing, we were singing. We were just talking about our lives, talking about hair, of course, talking about what was going on, within the culture at the time, on the news, favorite type of music. Like, it was a good time. So, yeah, it was fun.
It sounds like a good time. Yeah. And I need to have the picture of a little Stephane with the afro in the brush.
That's hidden somewhere, for specialized only.
We can find it.
Right.
And to me, this exhibition feels like an invitation to some degree to the African Caribbean community. And I've learned so much, doing the research on your project, reading all the research that you did. And just for the Bantu knots, it's probably one of my favorite style. aesthetically, but also the meaning behind it, that Bantu means people, and there's as many style of Bantu knots as there is ethnic group. To me, this is like amazing. And so I learned a lot, and even now I can recognize styles by their name and their meaning, and that was really like kind of life-changing. Like suddenly, from a day to another, I was like, oh yeah, I know those dreads, I know those locks. So it's really, really cool. And I was wondering, did you learn something from doing all that?
Yeah. I mean, I was like you, where I would see a hairstyle and I'd be like, those are braids, you know? But yeah, I mean, this was a journey for me. I learned a lot as well. It started off with this personal aspect when I was trying to think of the visuals, and then as I dove into the visual concept, I discovered this history, and that impacted the work as well. So that was fun for me. It was strenuous a little bit, revisiting a lot of that history that wasn't great.
Yep.
And revisiting the good history as well. And that roller coaster ride was fun to ride. It was fun to ride. But yeah, this was an exciting journey for me, learning all these histories, really getting in touch with where I'm from and my culture, better understanding myself. And that's what this project is about. I mean, I'm no hair expert, but it's an invitation for us to explore and learn together. So I'm glad that you had that experience.
I totally did, and I did have the roller coaster as well, that's for sure. But yeah, this exhibition is an invitation to celebrate the dignity of African Caribbean community and our culture, and I invite everybody to come see this exhibition and follow Stephane and Alexis' work to see all of the other hairstyle that's been in the series. Stephane, thank you so much for showing me all of these people learning, and thank you for sitting with me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.